Hello everyone. I'm going to teach you on how to use the old model, this old model of Casio calculator for calculating one variable, for calculating the mean for one variable, So for this calculator, very limited lang, no? Very limited yung kanyang function, especially when we are dealing with one variable in which it can only compute for mean and then standard deviation, in which for other calculators it can also solve further variance. Okay, now let me teach you on how to use this model of this calculator. Okay, so kailangan may example muna tayo. Okay, so as you can see on my screen, no, ito yung ating sample problem, okay? So ito yung ating sample problem. So in this situation, okay? So we have here the capacity for physical exercise was determined for each of 11 patients who were being treated for chronic heart failure. And then these are the given data. Okay, we have a total 11. No? We have a total number of 11 data. Okay, now kapag sinabi natin one variable, we are dealing with one variable, no, for a particular data set. Okay. Now, going back to our old model of calculator, paano natin isiset? Paano natin isiset yung ating one variable, okay? So, of course, no, turn on your old calculator and then go to mode, okay? Go to mode. Now, from the mode, so makikita ninyo there are three options. Okay, there are three options. Yung 1, computation. Yung 2, SD or standard deviation or statistical data. And then for 3, regression. But we are going to pick number 2. Okay. So as we pick number 2, so yun, game na siya, no? Game na siya for uh, inputting our data set on this calculator. So paano mag-input? No? Paano mag-input sa calculator na to? Kasi number 1, wala siyang table no, na nag-a-appear sa mga mas updated na calculator model. Okay, so please bear with me on how to use this calculator. So going back to our data set, Okay, so yan, going back to our data set. So let's input the following. Let's input the following. And to input them, no, so you are going to type the number, no? Type the number 9, for example, yung una 906, and then press this button, no? Press this button M+. As you input the data, for example, the first one 906, then press M1, no? Press M1. As you press M1, lalabas yung n is equal to 1. Ibig sabihin, nakapag-input ka na ng isang data set. And then you are going to repeat that, no? You are going to repeat that until doon sa final data set. Okay? So continue inputting all the data or continue entering all the data on the calculator. So 1320 M plus, 711 M plus, 1170 M plus, 684 M plus, 1200 M plus, 837 M plus, 1056 M plus, 897 M plus, then 882 M plus, and then 1008 M plus. So sabi natin kanina, we have 11 data. Okay? So kapag lumabas na yung number 11, ibig sabihin na enter mo na lahat ng data for analysis. Then after that, no, press mo lang yung AC. Okay? Then as you press AC, so magki-clear na yun or mag-appear yung 0. Then punta ka ngayon sa shift. Punta ka ngayon dito sa shift. So yung shift, press shift, okay? Press shift and then press mo yung number 2, okay? Press mo yung number 2. Kasi sa number 2 class, no, nandyan yung SVAR. Ibig sabihin, yan yung kailangan nating data, no? S, kasi dyan sa variable data. Tapos, pagka-press mo ng SVAR, or yung number 2, press equal. Okay, press equal. And then lalabas yung okay, so yan, no? Okay, ulitin natin. I'm going to exit, no? I'm going to exit the screen share para mas makita natin. So, after ma-record lahat ng data sa calculator, press mo yung shift. Press mo yung shift, tapos press mo yung number 2. Okay, press mo yung number... Okay, press mo yung number 2. Okay, pagka-press mo ng number... So, shift, tapos number 2. Pagka-press ng shift 2, lalabas yan. Pagka-press ng shift 2, lalabas yan. So, yung 1, yan yung min mo. Yung 1, yan yung min mo. Yung 2, yan yung population standard deviation. Pero hindi yan yung kailangan natin. Ang kailangan natin ay yung sample standard deviation, which is yung number 3, okay? Well, actually, ito naman yung common. Ito naman yung common na hinahanap for statistics, okay? One for measure of central tendency, which is the mean. Tapos for the measure of dispersion, no, yung standard deviation, sample standard deviation. Okay, so for number 1, kapag click mo, press mo lang yung equal, no? Press mo lang yung equal sign. So lalabas na ang mean natin ay nasa 970. Then go back doon sa, okay? Go back doon sa shift. Tapos number 2. So shift 2. Then press mo ngayon yung number 3 para doon sa sample standard deviation. So lalabas na. Press mo yung equal. Ang sample standard deviation natin ay nasa 201.98 or 202. Okay? Tapos for variance, okay, so okay, so yung lang, so yun yung disadvantage. So yun ang disadvantage ng lumang model na calculator na to kasi it cannot, no, it cannot compute for variance directly, okay? Well, you can use naman Excel to solve for the variance, okay? Pero dito, no, we can solve now the standard error of the mean, okay? In which the standard error of the mean is the standard deviation. Okay, in which standard error of the mean, we just did the standard deviation saka yung number of sample. Then of course, so we can also compute here, no, from the given mean or from the obtained mean, and standard deviation, we can now compute. We can now compute for the relative standard error. We can now compute the relative standard deviation, okay, which is just the quotient, the quotient of standard deviation divided by mean, and then, no, for the coefficient of variance or coefficient of variations, it's just the standard deviation divided by mean times 100%. Okay, so we can still use, no, we can still use this old calculator. Ayun nga lang, no, for the variance we cannot use it. We cannot use it to calculate for variance. Okay, so hopefully nasundan yung paggamit ng lumang calculator to solve for one variable data. Okay, so that's all for this tutorial. Then please watch the other tutorial videos on how to solve naman, no, on how to solve linear regression using this older calculator. Okay, see you in our next video.